This is my Vastec 1000 carousel printing press. It has 6 arms here, or 6 heads, and it has 4 stations here, 4 pallets spinning around like this. So most people start off with probably a 4 arm carousel with maybe 1 station. The reason you'd move up to this is because of workflow, get the job done quicker and faster, and it's all around a lot easier to have a rotating base. My regret here is that I don't have 6 down here, so it would line up with the heads here, because with the 6 heads here only 2 screens can come down at any time, because the other ones, as you can see here, have no connection with this. So if I had an 8x4 or a 6x6, it'd probably be better for certain jobs. So if I had a 6x6, what you'd call that is all heads down, which means that you could have 6 people screen printing all at once. And you sort of think, well, that's really excessive. The way I've got this set up, I can only ever have 2 people screen printing at once. So that means I'll never ever be able to have a 3rd person printing here. But it's not just that, it's also placement of the heads when you're drawing. So the idea of using 6 is that you print. So we bring in a flash cure unit. That just sits there like that. As the shirt turns around, that heats up. This is almost like another person working with a heat gun to dry the garment before it goes over to there. So with that in mind, if I was printing, to print here, print a shirt, move it around, it's getting dried under there, I load on another shirt, print that, move that around, and somebody else could print there. Then I have this wasted space over here, which a 3rd person could be printing there, or another flash cure unit could go there. The only trouble is you don't want a screen here or here with this flash cure unit, because it'll be drying the ink up as it goes around. So that's probably one of the reasons I would have gone for a 6x6 or something like that, because I could always have a blank one in between the run, so that the screens would go around while something's being printed there or here. We've got nothing here, and so the shirt's just drying. There's nothing to dry the screen underneath. So having a flash cure here is a game changer. Of course, that can be drying while you're doing something. This is a very simple one that just has 3 ceramic elements there. The downside of this one is that it's on constantly, so you have to keep it moving. If you leave something there too long, it just burns. I've got another flash cure over there which has a trigger which just comes on and off, but I'll show you the problem with that one. So this flash cure here has on the plug, it's only single phase, but it's got an extra wide earthing point just there, which means I have to get a Sparky in to put a special plug in for me, and that could be a bit of a pain if you're renting. Luckily I own my house, I just haven't got around to getting this one done, but this has got a little trigger that will make the flash cure come on and off, so you don't have to worry about things burning. So the Vastec 1000 is probably one of the cheaper ones on the market. If I was to buy a manual now after using one for a while, I think I'd go the 2000. I'd spend a couple of grand extra. I've got one of these heads seem to go out of registration all the time. Well, actually I had 2 that were going out of registration. I completely dismantled one, put it back together again, and that seems to be working good, so I'm going to have to do that. The other one, I've just got tape on there with an X on it. The other 4 heads seem to hold registration just perfect, but for, I would have expected it all to be perfect. I very rarely use the micro registration. I line things up by eye, clamp it down, and it tends just to stay into registration. Once locked in, most of these heads just keep really good registration. But like I say, I did have that problem one time, which was very frustrating because I lost a few hoodies and it was very expensive. The other reason I'd probably go for the next model up, the slightly heavier one, is some bits just seem a bit flimsy, and it really shows when you go to change pallet. So I'll just take this pallet off and you'll see what I mean. So here we've got this very jinky little setup with something that looks like a hairpin there holding it together. It's kind of not what I was expecting for an expensive brand new thing. It's kind of a bit funny, but it works. But when you look at some of the other ones, there's just a latch that goes on and off. So it is still a toolless changeover, which is good. It's just a little bit, I don't know, it looks flimsy to me. Let's put on the other pallet. It has all these little marks in here so you can sort of line up all the pallets so they're all even. That's good. Done. One of the modifications is to put a laser level up here. I've got a bit of metal there, it shines down onto the pallet so I can line stuff up. That helps when I'm feeding shirts on so I can line it up quite nicely. The other big modification here is I've put a wheel here and a piece of wood. I just wanted about that much extra height. I mean, I like things to move around on wheels, but I just wanted really just to get it up higher so I don't do my back in, because I ain't no spring chicken. And I also just have an old laptop here so I can listen to podcasts and things on YouTube, audiobooks, that sort of stuff. Things that get you through the day when you have got a big long print run to do. And that kind of makes the whole work flow much easier. When the shirts come around, even if I don't need to dry the shirts, I like to get them dry so when they go through the heat tunnel here, if the shirts are dry when I put them in there, it doesn't take us long to cure that properly without burning the shirts. So the Vastec 1000 has served me really, really well. If I had my time again to buy, when I did purchase this, we had the oncoming plague, the COVID thing, and there wasn't a lot of options available. Now I would, on reflection, I probably should have gone the 2000 rather than the 1000. It might have just been a bit more sturdier. But I tell you, but when I look through the websites and I see the Anatols, the Anatol Thunder, which already has like a laser thing coming down, I do salivate a bit when I look at those things. But that could be the next step. I don't do enough work to go for an auto, and I don't have the space for an auto, and I'm quite happy doing a manual printing. I find it quite relaxing. It's it's a pleasurable job. It's like real gig. So if you have a look at some of the other videos, I show you the setup that I had before I got this and before I got the heat tunnel, just showing you sort of like a beginner's setup. I'd still say that the Flash Cure is a real game changer. That and a 4x1 is the basics of what you need, but then when you progress you get a heat tunnel, an oven, and you get a rotating base, and that brings you up to the next level. So hopefully this is being handy for those who might be thinking about buying more equipment.